Yours truly, Brevin Thompson, here to continue my series of Terminator reviews leading up to Terminator Dark Fate. And right now we reached the all-time low for the franchise, and that is Terminator Genisys. I remember seeing this in theaters, and my excitement for the movie was through the roof. I was young back then, and then, how naive I was back 4 years ago. It wasn't until I was 18 where I began to, I explore movies a little bit more, and right now, I say that this is, without a doubt, the weakest out of all the movies in the franchise. While it tries to do, this is supposed to be a reboot for the franchise, because it goes back to the first Terminator when Skynet sends a Terminator back to 1984 to kill Sarah Connor. Then the Resistance will, of course, send Kyle Reese back to 1984 to protect her. But I like the start of the movie, does at first have a strong start. Showing the Resistance about to win the war against the machines. But, right when they think they've won the war by destroying Skynet's central core, Skynet sent the Terminator back to 1984 to kill Sarah Connor. Then, right when they get to 1984, everything else is confusing as all hell, because Sarah Connor is already a badass already, which I kind of like the idea at first when I first watched it, because, she's no longer the fearful waitress that we knew back in the original Terminator. She's the badass that we knew back in T2. As for Emilia Clarke's performance as Sarah Connor, it was decent. It wasn't anything great, without a doubt. It wasn't great. It was just okay. She wasn't Linda Hamilton, that's for sure. She was not Linda Hamilton, because Linda Hamilton is my Sarah Connor. But the biggest positive for this movie is Arnold is back. And they give a good reason why he looks so old, because the Terminator, since he's covered with living human tissue, like any other living tissue, it ages. And there's even this running gag where he says, "I'm old, not obsolete." And they repeat it several times. But as for how everything plays out in the movie, in regards to the timeline, it is completely fucked up at this point, because when right after they kill both, right when Kyle, Sarah, and the Terminator kill both the T-800 from that was sent back to 1984, and there's also a T-1000, which is nothing compared to the T-1000 back in Terminator 2. Because, this one was pretty much easy to kill, because they use acid to kill the T-1000. And if you remember back in Terminator 2, he was one hell of a son of a bitch that was hard to kill. And this one is forgettable. This wasn't Robert Patrick's T-1000, because the T-1000 in T2 was fucking awesome. I love the T-1000 in Terminator 2. It's one of my favorite movie villains of all time. And this version of the T-1000 in Genisys is forgettable as all hell. That's the big issue that I have with the movie, is that they try to cram in way too much in one story. As for the story, it's a mess. They originally planned to go back to 1997, which was the original date for Judgment Day, but now they go further to 2017, the day before Judgment Day, which is kind of stupid, because, why can't you go back a little bit before the day before Judgment Day? Because It will give you enough time to prepare for an attack, but I don't know, I guess that's the way the script was written, I guess. But the biggest issue for me in this movie is that I easily could have enjoyed the movie a lot more if Paramount having given away the biggest spoiler in the trailers by showing that John Connor is now a Terminator, which is, even though the design looks cool, I just don't really like this Terminator model. Because, I mean, pretty much almost every other new Terminator model that we've seen is more advanced or more upgraded version of the T-1000. While the T-1000 is, it's a much more memorable Terminator model because we Terminator fans love the T-1000, and I'm pretty sure there's some people that may like the TX or say, at least this Terminator model, which is the T-3000, I believe. But for me, the T-3000 / John Connor in this movie is forgettable as shit. Yeah. The special effects were a bit of a mix for me, because no matter what they do for this movie, if you remember back in Terminator 2, that's the movie that completely changed CGI, because especially for the CG that they used for the T-1000 was great. I didn't really like the CGI that they used for both the T-1000 as well as the T-800 Terminators. Though I do like some designs that for some Terminators that they show in the future. But when you look at like the Model 101 Terminators, it's like something you would see in an expensive TV film rather than a big blockbuster movie. But when it comes to the ones that we've seen before in the earlier movies, those are memorable because you love their design and they're just fucking amazing. They're that great. And because of Stan Winston's work on the original Terminator and the computer effects that they achieved for the T-1000, they're amazing and will remain classic designs even to this day. And we love those designs for the Terminators because the Terminator is easily one of the most memorable robots in film history. And the new ones in Genisys are, like I said, they're forgettable as hell. Yeah. And how everything plays out at the end, that helicopter chase, oh my god, I'm just like, I yawned throughout that scene. I'm just like, get to the credits already. And of course leads to like the ending where they're about to destroy Cyberdyne. And I'm like, didn't we already see this at the end of near the end of T2? Because they destroyed Cyberdyne in Terminator 2, but they just keep recreating like things that we've seen before, and they don't really provide anything new for the story or anything in general because because the franchise had, the chapter was already closed, the book was closed, the franchise was closed for all of us at the end of Terminator 2. And it should have stayed that way because Terminator 2's ending was satisfying and it was sad, but it gave us an ending because Cyberdyne was destroyed. Both Terminator models were destroyed, so their technology wouldn't be re-engineered to create Skynet. So it made sense to end the franchise at the end of Terminator 2, but they keep continuing making these movies just because they want to make money. And, of course, the PG-13 rating, because there's barely any blood. I wouldn't say there's barely any blood in this movie. I mean, there was when the T-800 shoots John Connor in the parking lot, and that's the scene where it reveals that John Connor is now Terminator. But and there's and of course since well, I just really think they should have stuck with an R rating, because I think it would have been a whole lot better. Because, since they time travel, of course, they have to take off their clothes because they'll get obliterated. I don't know. Just, that's the way time travel works in these movies. Because the PG-13, as that you would notice if the movie had scenes that would involve any nudity if the movie was rated R. But, not that there's anything wrong with that. Yeah. But, and how everything plays out at the end, it's just like, I just want this movie to end. And it even has a post-credit scene that sets up a sequel. That doesn't happen. And, yeah. So yeah, this movie is easily forgettable, and it's the worst of the franchise. The only one positive thing that I can say about this movie is that Arnold is back, and he's great as the Terminator as always. A decent performance from Emilia Clarke as Sarah Connor. Jason Clarke as John Connor. I just didn't really like him that much as John Connor. And Courtney was horribly miscast as Kalogridis, because even though Courtney is in these, like, some of these big action movies, like, say, Die Hard, A Good Day to Die Hard, and Suicide Squad, I thought he was decent as Captain Boomerang in Suicide Squad, but I did not like him as Kalogridis. Yeah. So, I'd say just don't watch it, just skip it. So, I'm going to give Terminator Genisys a D-. So, yeah. I'm happy that the Terminator rights reverted back to James Cameron, and hopefully he can fix this franchise, because I'm really excited for Dark Fate, and I cannot wait for this. And at least I'm just like, please, please, please just be a good movie. Yeah. So this was I wouldn't say it was at least, well, I just watched it just for the sake of reviewing the movie. But yeah. Thank you so much for supporting my channel and everything. And it was good to do this series with Sean Chandler on Sean Chandler Talks About, as well as Cody Leach. And these guys are awesome. Please check them out. They'll be posting their reviews very soon for this movie. So thank you so much, as always, for watching my channel. And I'm looking forward to doing more reviews very soon, as well as continuing my season 2 of my Halloween special. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, if you want my thoughts on old or new movies, you know where to find me. And I'll be back for Terminator Dark Fate.